Hello there and welcome. So this is my magical morning mystical routine. And why is it so magical and mystical and amazing? It's because I got a whole lot of stuff going on, including my awesome breathing app. Okay, so we're going to discuss what it is that I'm doing and why it's so beneficial and why it's so amazing, mystical, and scientifically backed by neuroscience to be incredible. Okay, so one is we're working on breathing and using our breathing, enhancing it, mobilizing our ribs, really getting ourselves into a powerful parasympathetic state. And two is this notion of how central breathing is actually a stabilizer. It's actually where your core stability comes from. So there's a lot going on how we basically matching our inner core, so the core of an apple, okay, and our outer core, which most people perceive as the core, it's really our sleeve. And we're matching the two together to free up our spine, free up our breathing, and free up a central stability pattern in us, okay. And we're stimulating a parasympathetic nervous system, and we're making sure we breathe, we're calm, and we're centered through all of this. And then that's a really, really good time for manifestation or visualizations or affirmations or even prayer, okay? Because the breathing app is helping make sure that we breathe consistently through this. And as we slow down our breathing, we get into what we call resonance or cadence breathing, which is, if you had to say a mantra or the rosary, it slows your breathing pattern down to that sort of magical 5 to 6 breaths per minute. Okay, which again puts us in this sort of meditative, affirmative state where we can create some sense of agency and some sense of change. So it's really a lot going on. And then we're out in nature. So I don't think you can hear, but there's the sounds of birds in the background. There's a woodpecker going nuts. And we're in rosy-fingered dawn, dawn's early light. So we're getting early sunlight on our eyes, which again is incredibly beneficial. Probably the two most important things that you need to be healthy and to thrive is a balanced circadian rhythm and a healthy breathing pattern, okay? And the hierarchy of needs, circadian rhythm, okay? So regular sleep-wake cycles, get early morning light. Let's try and bookend your day with early morning light and evening light. So this is a fantastic time to get out there and do those things. And make sure that you have really, really functional breathing. Okay, so let's talk you through what I was doing and why and the nuance of it. And for some of you, like it's a lot, okay, you don't have to know all of this. So let's just do the basic setup. So the basic setup is I'm going to use a light rope. Okay, this is a flow rope. That's the heavy flow rope. This is the light flow rope. And this is pretty nuanced and pretty detailed. So we'll start with just general light, what we're doing. And then we'll start layering it up, and you'll start to see that there's a whole lot going on here, which you might not get at first, but that's okay. So the first and foremost thing, and one other thing, so Dupuytren's contractures, I get a few questions about this, is often linked to a tight diaphragm, okay, and it reflects in your hands. And this exercise is fantastic for that, okay, and I'll explain why. But one of the notions is that we sort of connect our outer core so that our diaphragm can relax and deepen. So if you're a musician or play like a air instrument, like a woodwind, often singers and people that play musical instruments where you blow, like let's say bagpipes would be a great example where you really generate a lot. They're often prone to later on, for some reason, very, very tight diaphragms, which can cause back pain. And also, I'm pretty convinced there's a link between diaphragm adhesions and really tight diaphragms and Dupuytren's contracture. So this is great for you because we're mobilizing the fascia from your fingers right through to your diaphragm, deepening your diaphragm excursion, and sort of balancing out your core. So it's fantastic rehab for people if you are suffering from that. So if you are suffering from Dupuytren's contracture and you try this and you have some sort of thoughts or opinions, or if there's a positive response, please share that in the comments below. Okay, but this is really, really, really good for athletes and for everyone that wants to, like if you, I don't know, just be more centered, more calm, in control of your breathing. Okay, so the first thing that we're doing is we have a flow rope. The level one is make sure you can swing it in a backwards pattern. Okay, so underhand, if there was a stone on the floor or there is a leaf, I'm going to flick it forward. Okay, so that really helps as a visualization. I'm swinging the rope underhand or sort of a backwards pattern, and you need to get that underhand in a figure of 8. Okay, so I'm not going to explain this too much because you need to figure this out. Okay, if you don't have a flow rope, you can link your fingers and you can practice watching your elbow back, round and down from 12 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and then 12 o'clock round to 6 o'clock. And you've got to practice that pattern until you almost have a sensation, I don't know, we call it the matrix, where you're dodging bullets, but you should be doing backstroke or with your elbows paddling a canoe backwards. Okay, now I am going to tell you that some people are pretty jammed up in their lower back, so be careful how far you go from side to side. We actually want that contraction in your QL muscles. Your QLs are accessory breathing muscles, and your QL, or quadratus lumborum, is an accessory breathing muscle. So what it does, it actually provides stability for your diaphragm and your spine, and it needs to contract and relax a bit. And when we run and walk, it needs to gently help hike our hips. Okay, so all the dreaded hip drop, and you think it's glute medius, your QL is one of the muscles that helps lift the opposite hip. Okay, so it's sort of a counterbalance to your gluteus medius. It's really, really important. So just at the start, I'm pretty flexible, I'm used to this, but you shouldn't be side bending too much, okay, because you don't want to jam up your back until you've decompressed your spine and got length. And that's an interesting thing. This will decompress your spine. So if you take this on as a morning practice and you're going to spend 5 minutes or however many minutes you decide to do this for every morning, measure yourself, because you will decompress if you're sort of over the age of 30. Okay, and grow. Okay, so where were we? So we've got this figure of 8 with our shoulders. Okay, but just nice, fluid. You don't have to bend so much side. It's really important to be able to get your head from side to side for healthy gait. Your head should be over your foot when you run. Your head should be over your foot when you run. It just helps with the stability, with your glute support, with your posture. Okay, we're bipedal humans, and this is how we balance. Okay, think of a chimpanzee. They're on the ground. They're doing this. There's a reason they're doing that. Okay, we just need a gentle one. But it's very, very important to let your head go from side to side, head over foot, head over foot. Okay. Now, where were we? Right, so we're swinging the rope, we're holding it in an A-OK sign to begin with, and we're swinging this rope backwards, and we've got this figure of 8 pattern. Okay, awesome. That could be your morning routine. Level 2 is we're going to add breathing to this. Okay, so the breathing, I have a breathing app. At the moment it's called Airy. We're just making sure that that's going to stick, A-E-R-I. And I'm going to put it on, and hopefully there's our sound. Okay, so I've got it on the resonance breathing, on a 4 seconds breathing in, 4 seconds breathing out, which is pretty appropriate for a starting place. Okay, so you can hear that. So I'm going to make sure that while I'm swinging my rope backwards in a figure of 8 pattern, facing dawn's early light, rosy-fingered dawn, I'm going to breathe into that pattern, in and out through my nose. And you'll find it's quite tricky, because as the rope goes, you want to increase your breathing pattern. So it really, really teaches you to sort of move relatively quickly, but then have slow breath. Okay, and it's this after a while becomes a habit. When you're running, you'll learn to slow your breathing down while you're running, and you'll learn to sort of change, because let's say you're running around at about 174 steps a minute. It's quite quick, and your breathing can often, there is a rhythm center in our brain that helps govern our breathing rate, and you might find that our rhythm center gets disturbed. We're always in a rush, we're always rushing from one place to another. So just breathing and slowing down your breathing and timing it to 4-4, building up to 5-5, and then 6 seconds in and 6 seconds out would be amazing. And what it really does as well is it teaches you to be soft and slow with the rope. And what will happen is that's when your fascia starts really connecting in big sheets and across multiple joints. Okay, so really good for central breathing patterns, slowing things down, getting your diaphragm moving. So your diaphragm is the big horizontal muscle here, and as we breathe in, okay, the diaphragm should go down and our ribs should go up, and as we breathe out, our ribs should come down and our diaphragm goes up. Okay, so we have to have that pattern. And a lot of people, if your core's engaged, your diaphragm's up and your ribs go up as you're breathing. So you're basically breathing against yourself. You're going diaphragm up, ribs up. There's no air, well, there is air moving, but not as much as it could be. So you have to, when we breathe, everything should get bigger. So ribs up and belly bigger, which implies a gentle leaning back. And it's okay if you're QL, because if you Google this, your quadratus lumborum, these back muscles here, they help contract as you inhale. So it's okay to slightly arch your back to make space for your ribs to come up and your belly to get bigger when you breathe in. Okay, we're not dumping into our back, we're just gently arching. And then it's very, very okay as you breathe out, okay, for your ribs to come down, to tilt your pelvis back slightly and engage your stomach, or to have a sense that your stomach and your hips match. And we need this for our level 3 morning magical mystical routine. So level 3, we're going to breathe in and slightly arch, and we're going to breathe out, and we're going to feel our lower stomach. You want to feel sort of from your belly button to your pubic bone, that area contracting. So I'm just going to practice my little figure of 8 and breathing in. Everything gets bigger. Breathing out. I'm gently rolling my pelvis back and contracting my core. And you'll feel the tone of your glutes change as you breathe out and you engage your core. And then you breathe in and your glutes don't work as much. And then you breathe out and you'll feel your core engages gently and your glutes engage gently. We want that sensation about a 3 out of 10. It's not a clench, okay, because that'll shut down your movement patterns. Just a sense of engagement and then letting go, and then engagement and letting go. So let's see if I can swing my rope and get all that done. Okay, so back to figure 8. Swinging the rope, breathing in, breathing out, breathing in, breathing out. Okay, and what we want to get is a sense of, okay, once we've got that pattern, so that's a lot. Okay, it could take you 10 days or, sort of 7. Normally we call the magic number of 7, right? 7 sessions to assimilate that. Okay, and then we're going to step it up. I know, we're layering this up. There's a lot to go on with here. Okay, so level 3 would be just gently arching as we breathe in, making sure our belly expands, and the sensation that our diaphragm comes down as we breathe in and out as we breathe. And and our stomach sort of contracts and core contracts, and we roll back as we breathe out. Yeah, so breathing in and breathing out, and you might have to practice that separately, and then swinging the rope. Okay, you've got to combine those two and make it natural and autonomous. Okay, level 4. We are going to, that's why I've got these blocks here, and they're pretty strategically placed on my uneven lawn. Okay, level 4 is opening our heart. Again, this is where we start to get into the mystical part. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to internally rotate our feet. Okay, so our femurs are slightly internally rotated. Now it'll enable me to lean back a little bit more. I'm not dumping into my back, but if your femurs rotate internally, you'll find as you go back, you sort of stretch into your hip flexors. Okay, and we want that sensation of being able to comfortably sort of internally rotate your femurs, shift into my hip flexors, and no sense of pinching in my lower back. Very, very important. Okay, if it pinches in your lower back, it's not for you. Keep practicing up to level 3. Okay. So I'm going to internally rotate my femurs, and I can bounce in here. That feels amazing. I just feel the sense of glute engagement, and I feel like hip flexors stretch. You can breathe in, and there's some tone in my stomach when I breathe in, even though my ribs are going up and I'm breathing in. And then when I breathe out, ribs come down, core contracts, and I can figure of 8 in this breath. What I'm going to do, so imagine a balloon. If I squeeze the bottom of the balloon, the upper part of the balloon gets better. Okay, we're going to keep that sense of engagement in our core. So I'm leaning back, internally rotated, breathing in, breathing out, but there's constant tone in my 6-pack and in my anterior core. Okay, And that sort of general tension there is going to help get the breath up. And I'm going to open my heart. Okay, literally open my heart. Okay, sense of trust, sense of openness. And we're going to go, and this is, we're going to go for about, at an aim of about 30 degrees above the ground. Okay, here's my neighbor. So that would be horizontal, 30 degrees. Okay, we like to call this the Polaris, North Star. You open your heart to your life's purpose, to your North Star. And if you don't have a purpose, don't worry, just keep doing this and your purpose will come to you. Okay, so level 4, internally rotated femurs, whole foot on the ground. Barefoot is best, by the way. Okay, and I'm going to swap the rope around now, which also makes this harder, to a reverse grip. Okay, so the rope is now coming underneath my fingers. And I'm going to swing it backwards. Okay, I've got my reverse grip. I'm going to lean back. I'm going to open up my heart. I'm going to start really thinking about getting my shoulders back, my heart open, okay, and the sense of connection in my core. And I'm going to breathe in and breathe out, okay, slowly. So breathing in and breathing out. Don't be careful of crunching too much to the side. Really try and get those shoulders moving. Your QLs will dance enough as it is, okay? So don't try and work your upper body, really roll those shoulders, okay? There's a counterpoint between your psoas and your rhomboids. So those two work in a synergy. So we really want to get your serratus posterior, which is an accessory breathing muscle, your rhomboids, which is between your shoulders. We really want to get those going, okay? Between your shoulders, like if you have a threat response or a startle reflex, they'll get stuck in your shoulders. So a lot of people are walking around with stuck shoulders. We really want to get that soft at the back so that we can get breath throughout our entire rib cage. So this mobilizes all of your rib cage, but it's relaxed shoulders, not uppity shoulders. Okay, heels down, internal rotation, leaning forward. You'll feel very grounded, and then get those shoulders going, and then put the beautiful, amazing Airy app on and work on your breathing. And open your heart to your North Star, your guiding light, your guiding principle in the early morning light. And now there's a lot going on. You're grounded, your feet are in contact with the earth. Okay, your breath will start to soften, your mind will start to relax. Be slow and lazy with the rope. There, I'm starting to really relax my shoulders, and so my one arm's moving with the other. I'm going to try and make this very, very central, this pattern. Okay, so you'll see a lot of people swinging the rope and they're very, very handsy. So I think it's like in the Jungle Book. You see people using their hands and their feet with the rope. Okay, like the apes in the Jungle Book. Okay, that's not meant to be derogatory. It's just a sort of a visualization. Okay, so what we want to do is really try and use a central pattern, and the rope's always moving away from us and our spine, and particularly our sacrum, because we basically safely mobilizing our sacrum. So for those of you with sacroiliac problems, just be a little careful. But this is really, really good for your sacroiliac joint as a mobilization. If it's sore, pinchy, pain, stop, go back to level 3, okay? So from the side, internal rotate, grounded, stack my joints, breathe in, breathe out, and then I'm really trying to get my shoulders going and really trying to swing the rope from my sacrum. So sacrum first, then rope, sacrum, then rope, sacrum, then rope. And get those shoulders back. Long neck. There's a lot going on. It's difficult because a lot of times when people come back, the head will go forward. You got to think about a long neck. So a long neck from here to your sacrum. There's length through the back, even though you're leaning back slightly. Okay, and you're working on your breathing, and you're opening your heart, and there's tone in your core. Okay, a lot going on. That's not all, however. So level 5. A lot of times tension from our feet and lower legs and hamstring and adductors gets up into our chest and our breath. So if for a lot of people, your hamstring, your hips are so tight because we have tonic and phasic muscles. Okay, so if your phasic muscles are tight, Oh, hang on, back this up. Tonic muscles are your postural muscles. So your psoas is a tonic muscle. They help support your tone of your posture. Your hamstrings are also tonic muscles. So quite a few big important muscles are there for postural support. Hamstrings and psoas are intricately linked with breathing. If you have tight hamstrings, you generally have a sense of a flattened chest and restricted breathing. Okay, so it just is. And we talk about anterior chain and posterior chain. They're not the only two ways of describing muscles linked together in your body, but your anterior chain is your tib post, and it gets into your medial hamstrings and adductors, and that gets inside you and affects your breath. And we basically want to release and relax that so we can have maximum slow movement through these muscle systems. Okay, tonic muscles by default are slow twitch, and so it's the soft, organic, or somatovisceral, or maybe you're familiar with Feldenkrais. Those are a lot of this movement from the center, the slow, powerful, slow twitch, sort of organic movement. Okay, that's what we're trying to tap into. Okay, that's tonic muscles. And then we have phasic muscles, which is our hands and rapid movement, and we can move quickly. And that's, okay. Tonic muscles, when they become dysfunctional, okay, tend to grab on and become tight and locked. And that's what most people's problems are. I have tight hip flexors. My psoas is always jacked. My back pain. Okay, that's tonic muscles. When they become overstimulated or dysfunctional, become very, very tight and locked. And I think that's kind of what happens with singers and people that really use their diaphragm a lot. Sometimes when it gets dysfunctional, it can get really, really, really tight. Just remember, these are just signals in your brain. So it's just an imbalance in a nervous system, this tension. It's not to be scraped and bashed and beaten and painfully foam rolled out. You've got to empower it out. So the best way to get these tonic muscles to have the appropriate tone is slow rhythmical contraction. And basically we want the tonic muscles, okay, and the phasic muscles to match. So phasic muscles, when they get dysfunctional, often get weak and inhibited. So your glute medius is a phasic muscle. So you can have sort of tonic suppression and tension pushing through your glute medius, and it just switches off. Okay, and then we're just focusing on glute medius and clams and trying to strengthen the glute medius, but it's been blocked by a big bullying tonic muscle. Okay, so we've got to open up the tonic muscle to allow the glute medius to switch on, is one way of looking at all of this. So what does that mean to feet and blocks? So curiously, we can actually do this test now. So if I had to tall kneel, I relax my adductors and hamstrings and those tonic muscles, and my posture, you can immediately see, is really, really good, I think. Okay. Head on top of shoulders, shoulders on top of hips. And my breath feels free and open. My heart feels open. It's easy for my hands to get over my head. Okay. So that's a free posture with a free breath and open heart, and it just, my body feels stacked, my shoulders in the right place. Everything really feels great, okay, because I've released the tension out of my posture. If I sit like this, I now have tight hamstrings, and it's difficult to sit up straight. It's difficult to get my head on my shoulders, and it's difficult to get my arms above my head and take a deep breath. I feel like I have basically something pulling down on my chest. Okay, so that's the effect of the sort of lower body tension coming up through your body. Okay, and a lot of your hamstrings and adductors go straight through, so your sacrotuberous ligaments go straight through your sacrum. And the densest fascia in your body is around your sacrum. So often, one of the reasons we have dysfunctional hips and our hips can't function properly for when we're running is because we have tight hamstrings and adductors, and it gets through the sacral fascia and it comes up and it affects our breathing. And there's a whole lot of drama in the world. And we want to boldly and confidently and open-heartedly follow our dreams and follow our North Star and have high performance in a healthy manner. And these are why our dreams might get squished. Okay, so what to do? What we do is I'm going to stand on these two cork blocks. You can just get a log, a half log, or cut a foam roller in half. And the reason we do that is we call it perching. So when I stand on here, my feet relax, okay? So I'm like a bird, I've perched onto the rocks, okay? But what it does is it releases my fascia. So I can go back to, oh yeah, I kind of got that sense of my breath has opened up. And if you sort of rock from side to side, you'll probably feel your hips feel pretty loose or looser, okay? Than if I'm standing here, Okay? And certainly if I'm standing here on my forefoot, you'll notice that that tension kind of gets into my shoulders. So when I do this on and I'm hovering on my forefoot, I can feel tension between my shoulder blades, and my shoulders don't want to lift up and my chest doesn't want to come up. Okay? And if I shake that out and stomp my heels on the ground a little bit, okay, don't have that tension in there. And if I sort of rock from side to side, it's freer because my whole foot's on the ground and I've taken the tension out of that anterior chain. Okay, on here, wow, okay, much more open shoulders, much better posture. My chest just opens up. I feel great. So we are basically now going to practice swinging a rope, perching. Again, slightly internally rotated feet. Now you got to watch out. Well, not watch out. So what we're enhancing now is our central balance, because I don't have my feet and heels, my usual go-to. Like you'll see people balancing like this, trying really hard. Okay? You're taking that foot grip, trying really hard out of the equation, which is our basic muscles. Okay? And now we're going to have to balance with our central balance system, our diaphragm, okay, and our spine. So it can be tricky. But it's very, very, very good for your balance and your stability. So back we go, same principles as before, slightly internally rotated, okay, leaning back, feel a gentle sense of core engagement, open-hearted, which should be much easier. So paradoxically, this step's actually easier than the previous step. I'm going to hold the rope this way around. And why am I doing that? Because I want this shoulder to connect to this glute, okay, so to have a posterior oblique sling, okay? So shoulder, glute, foot connection. Your posterior oblique sling goes down the lateral side of your hamstrings too. That's your power line. That's where your power should come from running and biking. So we're going to access our power line. Told you there's a lot to this. There's a lot going on. So breathing in, out. Okay, feeling awesome. And I'm starting to shift my weight now. So I'm starting to get comfortable with this movement. So I press here to come up and out, and I step with that heel to come up and out. So I'm literally pressing with my feet now, okay? And the pressing is from here, I'm going to step up and open. So I'm stepping the rope up, stepping the rope up, stepping the rope up. When my head's on this side, I step the rope that way, okay? Really, really, really good for your running timing. And again, open-hearted, slight sense of core engagement, getting my shoulders back, my neck is long down through my sacrum, so you've got a lot to think about. Slowing breathing down. Okay, so I'm going breathing, long spine, stepping, okay, gentle sense of core engagement, opening my heart. Okay, a lot to think about. Whoa, too much. Okay, so that's sort of level 5. Now, I have a heavy rope here. So I really like doing this with a heavy rope. Okay, we sell heavy ropes on my store. They're not that heavy, they're only like 1 inch thick. So heavy rope, slower. And I'm breathing in and out through my nose. As you can see, it's sort of pulling me off balance. I've got to find my center, and then there's my step. Come in. Breathing in, breathing out. I'm going to look up a little bit. The sun's actually getting a bit bright. This is dragging on. Okay, right. Also with the heavy rope, 2 variations. Sure, the same principle as perching, but a little different is I can stand on a rope or a heavy rope or cork blocks that are half, and I can put the rope this way and stand like this. Now this is fantastic because it drops your first met head down, but you take away the 2 front balance point of your feet, your big toe, your first met head and your baby toe. And so again, slightly different from perching, but you lose those balance points, but you do open up and spread your toes. And it's really, really good for relaxing your feet, spreading your forefoot arch, and again, creating a more central balance system rather than our go-to outside grabby system. So this is really good for people with peroneal issues, posterior post-tib issues. And again, you create this sort of central balancing, okay? And then one more variation, you can turn your heavy rope this way, okay? And I'm going to step on it on the outside of my feet and kind of make sure my knees pop and float forward. We do that with the cork blocks too. Your knees must pop forward and feel like they're floating. And then I can do swinging this way around. And again, it gets up into the arch, which once you're in the arch there, really, really helps relax the hips. So you're killing about 5 birds with 1 stone. Okay. Level, what are we on now? About 6. Okay. Anytime you're in a parasympathetic state, so anytime you work on your breathing app. So the breathing app is fantastic in the morning when you're making coffee. You can put the resonance breathing on, or 6 seconds in, 6 seconds out breathing going, and just breathe to that while you do your morning chores. And you'll find you become more calm, more centered, and there's a sense of more parasympathetic in your body, right? Anytime you're in a more parasympathetic state, it's a fantastic time to do visualizations, mantras, affirmations, or prayer. So, level 6 is while we're doing all of these things, we can start to, you'll see your sympathetic nervous system sits between your shoulder blades from here, your sympathetic chain. And because you're mobilizing it, it helps basically get your sympathetic chain, get the stress off it, get the startle reflex between your shoulders, your writing reflex, your threat response. It helps settle all of those down and mobilizes your sympathetic chain. And what will happen is, for some people, this is extraordinarily calming. So I have a lot of people that will swing the rope backwards at night to help them sleep. So they do it at the end of the day to down-regulate. It calms them. So you might find everyone's different. This really calms you down. Now, if that's for you and you're starting to feel a real deep sense of calm, centeredness, groundedness, fantastic time to create change. Okay, change is really, really hard for humans. It's easier to be changed than it is to change. But this is an opportunity for change. We don't want big change. We want like 1 or 2% change because it starts to compound. Okay, don't try too hard. Just a little bit of change is good. Okay, change is disruptive. So I'm here. I'm on my rope in whatever pattern. I'm swinging my rope. I'm breathing. I'm opening my heart. Okay, I'm working the central breathing pattern. I'm balancing my phasic and tonic muscle system. I'm integrating my whole body fascia. Your fascia is an organ of emotion. So this is slow and rhythmical and fluid, and it's dancing, okay? And so all of this massive neuroplasticity, this incredibly beneficial, centered, calm, stabilizing signal is going through your brain, okay? You're grounded. You're opening up your sacral chakra, which is your passionate, creative energy. Okay, I told you we get a little woo. Okay, you're opening your heart. Okay, your chi or your solar plexus or your whatever stomach chakra. I can't even remember what the proper name is for that. Is sort of empowered and engaged, and you're breathing, and your neck is long. Okay, it's just magnificent. Great time to do mantras, visualizations, affirmations, or prayer. Okay, and if you do mantras or visualizations or affirmations, you always talk to yourself in the third person, sorry. You always talk to yourself in the third person. So third person would be, Lawrence, you are awesome, or whatever it is, okay. I'm going to run the London, have I told you I'm running the London Marathon soon? Okay, so my dear friend, Chris, we're going to go run the London Marathon together, and what we are going to do is I'm going to then visualize myself running through the streets, the crowds, the noise, make it as real as possible, see myself running through the line, see myself on the other side of the finish line, happy, whatever, moving well, and all of those things, and make it as real as possible. I want to add sound, sweat, whatever. Some people aren't good at visualizing, so they're not visual people, and that's okay. That's why I kind of say manifestation. So you're going to try and manifest an event. Okay, so you be rehearsing it in your mind and seeing it and feeling it, and then like as though it's already happened. Okay, so this, again, now you can start to see, okay, this is a lot going on, but 5 minutes in the morning, it'll take time to master and put all these pieces together. You can probably have to watch this video a few times, so I try not to make it as irritating as possible. And you can get in there and you can do your manifestations, your visualizations, your affirmations, calm your breathing system, and learn to be grounded, central, and basically empower your sense of calm so you can take it through the day. And hopefully that helps you have better days, compounding on better days with gradual change that'll totally change and transform your life. So there we go. Share this with someone that you think it might benefit. Please find my app and download it and leave a positive review. That would mean a lot to me if you've got this far and watched this. Okay. And if you try and reach out directly, or here, if you have suggestions for the apps, not on the App Store directly, we're trying to get this, to rise on the algorithm. Yeah, and let me know how you go. And again, for Dupuytren's contracture, having a sense of your ribs connecting to your hips. Okay, so when your diaphragm is really, really tight, your ribs will flare. So having the sense of connection in your ribs will probably release your diaphragm, and then learning to breathe down and actually use that diaphragm and freeing up all your ribs and then also the hand. So like, you're moving your hand. I want to just add one more. Sorry, this is like the bonus Easter egg at the end if you've watched this far. If you hold the rope like this, when I round my shoulders, you can really stretch between your shoulders. So if I swing the rope with really rounded shoulders, you can get a very, very strong mobilization between your shoulder blades, and then you can slowly pull them back. Okay, so we're going shoulders back, shoulders forward, shoulders back, probably finish on shoulders back. Okay, but that will also help get the adhesions out of your shoulders and through your hands. Okay, so that's that. There we go, up and at 'em. Let's get out there and make the world a better place one day at a time. But this should make you a better person, and how you see the world will change, and then how the world sees you will change.